Good afternoon. It is Thursday, May the 4th. For the Star Wars fans out there, may the 4th be with you. It is Star Wars Day, but we're talking about sailing here. Meteorologist Shay Gibson with SailFlow bringing you a preliminary forecast for the Helly Hansen Sailing World Regatta in Annapolis, Maryland, May 5th through May 7th. So we're going to go through the next 3 days. I'm just going to give a preliminary bout about what I think is going to happen. The initial models are looking like things might be on the light side. However, let's not get too distressed about that. We may find some pleasant surprises as we get into Saturday and Sunday, where we may get some modest southeast or south-southeasterly sea breezes, which are very typical this time of the year as we get into the warmer months. But either way, let's go ahead and put myself down into the corner and looking at yachtracing.com, and then let's go to COD. I want to look at College of DePage. Lots of cloud covers of today. We're seeing that mid-level northwest flow, north-northwest flow residual as this upper low continues to spin and do the wraparound effect all the way down across the Delaware and the upper Chesapeake area. So right now it looks like this is northwest flow. However, we do have a surface high that's building in behind this, which is going to be kind of nosing down into the mid-Atlantic region with the northeast flow. This is going to continue to veer east as we get into tomorrow. We'll probably start tomorrow morning northeast, and we'll look at the surface maps here in just a second. But I just want to kind of give an idea. A few residual showers, maybe some convective pulsing here and there for the remainder of the day today and into tonight. But I think overall, we're looking at a big change in the pattern as far as tomorrow goes. So here's the WPC surface map. And I'm going to go from today. You can see the high pressure, the ridge, as this upper low exits the coastline. We still have that wraparound flow, the last of it. And then we have high pressure ridge that's really just kind of digging down all the way into the southeast United States. This is part of what's called an omega block, where you have low pressure over here, you have low pressure over here, and then you end up with this giant ridge underneath it, which creates what looks like an omega pattern, and it is an omega block pattern, which has been over the United States for the last couple of days. So that's going to be shifting off towards the east. This high pressure is going to start competing for our area, one over Canada and then one over the mid-Atlantic. And you'll see here as we get into tonight, or overnight tonight and tomorrow morning, one thing we got to watch for tomorrow morning is this area of high pressure here ridging down into, looks like towards the Tennessee Valley, and then another area off the Carolina coast. So this sort of makes for a little bit of a tricky pattern over the area with that north-northeast to northeast wind coming down clockwise around that high. So that's kind of what tomorrow morning's models are hinting at, that this ridge digs down over the Appalachian Mountains and it provides that northerly kind of flow, the clockwise flow around it. So that's what we're kind of looking at for tomorrow morning as far as how the forecast is going to pan out as it veers through the day. That's going to be the trick. And as we go into the day for tomorrow morning and even into tomorrow afternoon, this is what's looking like a light pattern under positioned central high pressure directly over the mid-Atlantic. This makes for some forecast complications because of the light winds that come with it. So tomorrow looks a little bit tricky, but I do think we'll probably still end up getting that northeast over to east flow, and then as high pressure, we just get ridging along the coastline in this kind of a situation where winds eventually will wrap around up from the east, southeast to southeast. But it's going to be a tough day for tomorrow. In fact, if we look at the winds for right now, we're showing northeast winds 6 knots, gusting, 5 knots, gusting 6-7. It's been coming down for some time now, and that's going to continue to be the trend. So light and variables overnight as we get radiational cooling and that upper low exits farther east out over the Atlantic Ocean. It looks like the winds are going to continue to calm overnight. We're going to end up with some light and variable periods. You can see the models here into tonight. Variable directions, low numbers. I'm talking 1 to 5 knots. The HRRR keeps it up till 9 o'clock, but that's just based on some of that convective activity, which we could see some surges up into the teens just after sunset based on where those convective showers may be coming through. You may see some pulsing here and there, but overall overnight, we see the trends coming down with light and variable winds. Now, tomorrow morning, we can see here that probably around 7, 8 o'clock, we see a lot of alignment from the north, right? And so that's a good thing when we see model agreement with mini miles. We have the 2 kilometer, we have the 3 kilometer here, we have the Canadian, we have the GFS and the NAM 12 kilometer. All these miles are in agreement for this alignment by the morning. As we get towards the race start, 10, 11 o'clock, we start to see that shifting from the north, northeast to northeast. Now, as far as speeds, we're looking at about 5 to 9 knots. Could be a little less based on the fact that central high pressure is trying to position over the area. As we get further into the day, we see winds veering a little bit more northeast to east northeast. That's the current trend for right now. I think that's going to verify, but again, light numbers and not very consistent across the board. We may see some pulsing up and down from 3 to 7 to 5 to 9. With any luck, we may get 7 to 11 lock in from the east if we can get it to fully veer east. So tomorrow, tricky point again. And as we get into Saturday, let's go ahead and go forward on the surface map. Saturday, we see that high pressure really more or less aligning off the coast. So we get this ridge axis that's starting to develop just off the coast, which means the ridging is actually taking place out here somewhere where the heat fluxing in the daytime, the high will drift out a little farther. Then we get this return flow coming up the coastline. So around that high, we end up with more of a southeast flow, maybe even south-southeast as we get into Saturday. So that looks a little more promising as far as speeds go. If we look at all the available models, we go out through Saturday and we see a little bit more agreement, a little mainly in the afternoon, but maybe a little bit of that residual east-northeast and northeast flow in the morning. Light winds to start. Now these models are shifting a lot, so we're going to have to take this day to day. This what makes this forecast very challenging with light winds because if we try to go out too far, the error starts to get a little bit higher in this kind of environment. Whereas if we had a solid pattern in place, we'd have a better idea. So again, we'll take this day to day, but it looks like the NAM 3 kilometer, the green here, is really trying to latch on to these south-southeast sea breezes, which I think is a little bit more probable or a little bit more likely to occur. And the numbers here, anywhere from 8 to 12 knots from the NAM 3 kilometers. So we'll have to wait and see what the HRRR, the Wolf Wharf 2 kilometer, the TRM, all those different models start to come in line as we get into Saturday. Now, we go into Sunday, same thing. We have a southerly return flow as that high continues to remain just off the coastline. In fact, here it is right here with the high actually expanding a little bit more of the Atlantic, which would do us a little bit more justice for the area. So again, tricky stuff. We'll have to take it day to day and look at the speeds. But just want to give you a heads up. It looks like overall we're looking at light to modest southeast or southerly winds Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow being a little bit more of a light and variable factor. We'll have to wait and see for tomorrow morning. But just giving you a heads up, I don't see anything on as far as severe weather. It looks like partly cloudy skies. We're going to be starting out in the mid 60s for tomorrow for highs. Pretty chilly in the morning in the upper 40s. As we get into Saturday, a little bit warmer by a couple of degrees, 68 near 70. As we get into Sunday, even warmer into the mid 70s. So a little bit of a warming trend. Partly cloudy each day. We may see that cloud line come across from the southeast as we get into Saturday, Sunday. If we do see the cloud line migrating across up into the upper Chesapeake, that cloud line may have a little more wind. So another factor I wanted to talk about outside of the winds is the currents. So the current's going to be a big deal in this one, especially with lighter winds. We're going to be on an ebb just about every race. We have a long period ebb that starts mid-morning and goes through mid to late afternoon each day through the race. So tomorrow 7 a.m. we're showing pretty light as we go forward. The NOAA tide chart, I did put it on the slide deck here that we're going to be showing tomorrow morning, but it shows that the 11:43 a.m. is the max ebb, so that's going to be a huge factor in the race. The max ebb being at about minus 1.31 knots. However, I think it's going to be stronger than that because the Conowingo Dam release was 200,000 cubic feet per second just this morning. We may see fluctuations of that with that rain upstate in the watershed. They may be doing more releases of that water. So we may be even looking at 1.7 knots according to this model, 1.7 to 2 knots. So that'll be a big factor to discuss. But other than that, we'll go day to day with this, folks, and just hang in there. Let's see what the forecast is looking like for Saturday, Sunday. Looks like tomorrow's going to be pretty challenging, but we'll get through it and figure it out then. Okay, everybody, that's going to be it for this segment. And hopefully you'll be watching this at the Skippers meeting tonight. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Thank you. Have a good day.